All right. Right, here we go. Here we go. We are live streaming. Nope, we don't need that music. Turn that off. We also don't need you talking. Turn off that. So I think everybody can hear me because I could hear myself, so I don't have to go through that whole routine. How is everybody? Just tell me how the sound sounds from you guys' end. We'll talk about all the things, guys. We'll talk about all the House of the Dragon things. Gonna be here for a couple. We'll be here for a couple of hours, I think. Just chill stream. I know I'm drinking Red Bull. It's still gonna be chill though. It's still gonna be chill. So everybody take a deep breath. As always, everyone take a deep breath. Calm down. No yelling. No running around crazy, acting a fool. We're gonna have a civil discussion about House of the Dragon. Oh, first of all, I'm drinking this Red Bull. I'm chugging this Red Bull right now because I'm a little bit loopy. I'm not on my most heightened mental state because yesterday I got married. Yeah. Yes, I am now officially somebody's husband. So that's the deal. I am now married and had a lot of fun last night. So I'm drinking this Red Bull. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks very much. After like watching House of the Dragon, seeing everybody getting married, got very jealous. Was like, I got to get married now. So all these dragon people are getting married, so I got to do the same thing as them. No, I'm kidding, of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We haven't had our honeymoon yet. We're having our honeymoon in November, so it hasn't started. So right now we're going to stream about House of the Dragon. So yeah. Cool jacket. Oh, you like my jacket? It's nice, right? Nice jacket. I got this from, I actually don't remember. So House of the Dragon. So I know you all saw the title. Let's be honest about House of the Dragon. And I mean that in all of the ways, right? So let's be honest about the quality of the show. And also let's be honest about these characters and how and their portrayal and like who these characters are as people, right? Because like one thing that I've been seeing a lot, especially on Twitter, but in other places, is that people are really misreading these situations that are happening and they're trying to like ascribe blame to certain characters and be like, oh, this is the bad guy. I'm on this person's team. Like this person is pure evil and yada, yada, yada. When it's like, it's never that simple in real life. And it's never that simple in George R. R. Martin's books. And George R. R. Martin has kind of made a point never to make it that simple. Also, as you can see, my sweet baby Siona's there. So I feel like I'm seeing this like weird tribalism thing happening where certain people are, oh yeah, Rhaenyra, I'm on Rhaenyra's side, and you know, everything the Greens do always is bad, and Rhaenyra's just awesome always, and everything she did was right. And then I'm seeing the other side of it, like, oh, like I'm on Allison's team, and like Rhaenyra sucks, and she's a bad person, and yada yada yada. When really what's really happening here is all these people are very selfish. Everyone on this show is extremely selfish, and they all suck. They all suck. None of these people are really that great. All right. And I know people like want to like people move into this state where they're like, oh, like TV characters have to be our heroes. We have to have a character that we worship and we follow them to the end of the line. But I'm like, none of these people have really demonstrated that they're that good at making decisions of any kind. None of these people have, right? So we're going to start with Rhaenyra because I feel like so many people overlook Rhaenyra and all the stupid decisions that she's made this entire show, which is just like first off, that last episode, sending her kids off, her young kids with no one else off to like be the that was so dumb. Like, why? I get that they're supposed to be men grown and they have dragons, but you know there's bigger dragons in the world. You know it's dangerous to send a boy off to do that by himself. But we're not, just forget about that part. Let's step it all the way back. Okay, Rhaenyra, Laenor, fine. Have your arranged marriage where you go off and sleep with other people. Fine. do it, right? Try harder to get pregnant first, right? At least the first one, right? Try. I know they said they tried, but how hard did you really try? Try a little bit harder, especially in the TV show version where like all the Valyrians have melanin in their skin. Like we know how genetics works here. Try a little bit harder, and if it doesn't work, at least Rhaenyra, at least get pregnant by somebody from the Summer Islands, right? Because you're with a black man and you sleep with a white guy, those kids are gonna be white. I feel like she should have understood that, right? Like divorcing the books, because I know the books are a whole different story, right? But it's like, how in the flip do you have 3 white ass kids with a black guy? Of course, nobody believes that. Of course, it's so dumb. Like Rhaenyra, what were you thinking? And like I said, I'm not talking about the books. Forget the books. This isn't about the books. This is about the show and what I'm seeing in the show. And like, I'm like, 3 kids? So yeah, I feel like that in itself was dumb. And the fact that she did this while living in the Red Keep. You're living in the Red Keep, doing this right under everybody's nose in King's Landing where all the spies are. Like, so at the end of that one episode when Rhaenyra was like, we're leaving King's Landing, I was like, good. You should have left King's Landing a long time ago. This is the worst place to be and be doing this and carrying on like this. Genetics are not that absolute. Oh, please. Do not give me that shit. Genetics aren't that absolute. Look, I am from the South. Plenty of black people sleep with white people, and you can tell there's a difference. There's a difference. Don't give me that shit. Like, I've got plenty of half-white cousins, and they have a specific look. Don't give me that shit. Anyway, genetics aren't that absolute. Melanin is melanin, and I'm sorry, that's just the way it goes. But anyway, yeah, dumbest decision ever on Rhaenyra's part, right? So I'm not criticizing the show. I'm criticizing the character, right? The character. What's the difference? Is that when your kid is half black, it's gonna have some melanin. It's gonna have kinky hair. They're gonna have certain facial features that are associated with black people. I mean, what do you mean? What do you mean? What are the differences? There are clear physical differences between people that are half white and half black and people that are just white. Passing is possible. There's people that pass. Like, people don't know that, like, for instance, like Mariah Carey is half black, right? Because she kind of passes as white. But that doesn't change the fact. Like, if you look at Mariah Carey, you can tell that she's not totally white. You can look at, like, her cheekbones and kind of her, you can look at her and be like, okay, there's something else mixed in. It's very obvious. I don't know why we're playing this game where it's like, no one should have noticed that her kids were totally white. Like, come on. Anyway. So yeah, when they left King's Landing, I was like, yeah, you should have left King's Landing a long time ago. It's been really silly for you to be like doing this under everyone's nose and everybody's watching and everybody sees it. I feel like that was just like, girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? So yeah. So as far as Rhaenyra goes, I do think she made a lot of stupid decisions. I do think she made a lot of stupid decisions, but at the same time, the way the Greens have acted and behaved is totally wrong. First of all, Otto is such a douche. Otto is such a douche. But the thing is, can you really fault Otto that much for doing just what the society says he should do? He's doing everything that he's been taught to do, which is like to want the best for his line, right? He wants his daughter to be queen. He wants his grandchildren to sit on the throne. He's just doing what anybody else would do, basically, right? He's just doing what anybody else would do, right? In Game of Thrones, Ned Stark disobeys the king's wishes. He doesn't write what the king tells him to write, right? So the king says, my son Joffrey will sit on the throne after me. And what does Ned Stark write? Rightful heir. Ned Stark switched it up. So he left it open, right? I feel like Otto is just doing what like he would do, right? Everybody and their mama knows that those kids are not Rhaenyra's kids. Everybody and their mama knows it. Everybody. There's no question about it. So Otto's just doing what he does. I still don't like him. I do think he's a weasel. I do think he's a snake and a weasel. And if I was Rhaenys at the end of that one episode, I would have roasted those greens. They would have been roasted 100%. That's neither here nor there, right? He's just doing what he has to do. Alicent, I think, is a lot more complicated. And I really do like this portrayal of Alicent. And I'm hoping that both Rhaenyra and Alicent, as the show goes on, get more like kind of ruthless. But I'm really liking how complicated this character is. So we got Alicent and Rhaenyra, and they start off as friends, right? They start off as they're good friends, they're young girls. And then as Otto gets involved and he sees like this vacancy that opens up and the king wants a wife, right? He's prompting up Alicent as you'll be the king's wife. And that is what complicates the situation. Because Rhaenyra, heir to the throne, right? Viserys names her heir to the throne. But if Alicent has sons, of course, everyone's going to look at these sons. And after like a few years, people are going to kind of start to forget that Rhaenyra was even like, named. And I feel like Alicent wasn't really, I think Alicent was very naive in the beginning because Otto actually gave her real information. Like when the king dismissed Otto, he told Alicent the truth when he said that if Rhaenyra gets on the throne, if Rhaenyra is heir to the throne, that puts your children in danger. 100%. It does. Now, did Otto talk it up? Did Otto make the situation a lot worse than it could have? Yeah. Maybe they could have worked something out later if Otto hadn't been whispering in Alicent's ear that whole time. Maybe they could have like arranged some kind of a marriage or things could have been different. But because Otto's whispering, because Kristen Cole, and because of the fact that Rhaenyra's children are illegitimate, I think that in a way, Alicent is justified in a lot of the ways that she acts, is justified 100%. Her children are the king's legitimate sons. Rhaenyra has been misbehaving like crazy in front of everybody. She's kind of like not respected anymore. And like, look, here's the thing. I'm very aware that sexism is something that drives this universe, right? It's all over the place, right? And it sucks. It sucks, right? But this is the world that they're living in. And like everybody in this world has to learn to like work within like the rules of the world that they're in, right? It sucks. We maybe can try and change it, but like you can't expect to be respected. Rhaenyra, I'm talking to you. You can't expect to be respected as a queen and as a leader when this is how like this is what you're doing. This is what you're showing to everybody in front of everybody. Everybody sees it. All right. Okay. So I think that's where the initial conflict came in, right? I think Alicent is seeing all this, and I think Alicent is a person that also feels like maybe that she's made sacrifices, right, for being faithful to the king all these years, and she feels like Rhaenyra has kind of just been running loose and just doing whatever she wants, while Alicent has kind of been trapped. So I think from Alicent's perspective, she feels like she's been trapped, trying to like hold on to her family and trying to like raise her kids, all the while not knowing if they were going to be safe in the end, while Rhaenyra just gets to run free and do whatever she wants. So I feel like that's from her perspective. So over the years, I definitely think Alicent like built up this like extreme bitterness where she started to see Rhaenyra as just like the source of like all of her agony and troubles. And I don't know, there was like this bitterness that built up. So like when Rhaenyra was like actually offering a logical solution, the marriage, she didn't want to hear it, right? Because at that point, when Rhaenyra comes up and she says like, okay, we marry these kids to your kids or whatever she had proposed, that was a good proposal to like kind of remedy the situation. But at that point, Alicent was so like clouded by her bitterness and her judgment was so blinded that it was just like she couldn't do it. So that was definitely an L on Alicent's part, because like that would have been the thing that would have like solved it. And then of course, by the time that the whole thing with the kids and the eye being put out, she was done. So that really set the whole situation on fire then, and then it was allowed to boil over. One thing too is like, okay, here's one thing where I can like be like, Alicent, I don't know if she's like necessarily telling the whole truth. Is it possible that she had no idea that Otto and all the members of her council were actually plotting against Rhaenyra? Is it possible that she had no idea? or did she just not want to see it, right? I feel like there was something in Alicent that knew that they were going to do this, and she just kind of didn't want to see it. I don't know if you can like really be here and be watching and be around everyone and not know that, right? She's kind of looking away from it, and then she's kind of like, oh, I get to play like, oh, no, we're not doing that. I think it could be two things. It could be she's looking away from it, she doesn't want to see it, or she's really that delusional, right? I don't know. Someone says Alicent is a puppet. To some degree, yeah. Otto's puppet. Otto has been moving her around the chessboard over and over again, right? And she's getting moved around. I did like how she took some agency, like right at the end, and like she's kind of like starting to take control. Okay. Anyway, let's move on to let's see. The king's death scene was interesting. And this is pretty different from what I remember from the books, even though it's been a while. Right, so the king's death scene was interesting. But what I didn't like about it is that it kind of like... Okay, one thing I don't like about both Alicent and Rhaenyra in the show, and I'm hoping that this improves later on, is I feel like both of them in a weird way kind of lack agency. It's like in almost every situation, it's kind of beyond their control. It's like their hands are forced, right? Like they don't really have... It's like Alicent isn't doing this in the show because she's like wants to be queen and she wants all this because she has all this ambition. She's only doing it because she feels like she kind of has to. And I feel like the same is true for Rhaenyra. She doesn't like... Well, I think Rhaenyra kind of has some ambition. Couldn't disagree with... Well, fuck off, Eddie. I don't give a shit. Couldn't disagree more. Well, get the fuck out. This is my stream. God. Couldn't disagree. Go tell somebody else that you disagree. Tell somebody else that you disagree. I don't care. I don't care. Jesus. Go disagree on your Twitter feed. I disagree. Elaborate. God, lost my place. Where was I? Anyway, I feel like a little bit of agency is being taken away from both of these characters in a way, like their hands are being forced. Like I was like Rhaenyra in the end, she's like, oh, I'm not going to declare war until it becomes like super obvious that this is going to happen and whatever the fuck. And then it's like she's kind of forced because her son gets eaten by the dragon, right? So it's like it's not about her ambition. It's kind of like she's being put in the position where she has to like go forward and keep doing this. Mm-hmm. Someone says, do you think Alicent is going to end up being the one to poison Aegon? They're setting up a conflict between them. I don't know. What I thought was interesting about Aegon's coronation, that was really interesting, was how it kind of the farce of it all, right? So it's like, I also, it was really cool like to see them all like lining up all the small folk and like forcing them in to the dragon pit because they don't know what's going on. This is probably the most interesting, most exciting thing that's happened to them all this time. And it's like it really highlights that the small folk don't really know what's going on with the king and the queen and the princes. They don't know what's happening here. They're just here like, oh, whatever. We don't know. We're just gonna clap because they're telling us to clap. And I love how it just all kind of seemed like such like a stupid show. Like the horns and the swords, it's so like over the top and kind of goofy and silly. I just thought it was just like the way it was portrayed. I feel like in another type of thing, in another like way, it could be there's a way that they could portray that would make it super epic and grand. Like think about Lord of the Rings, but here it's kind of like walking through swords as dumb trumpets play. It's kind of like I don't know, funny in a little bit. Okay, and then I have some thoughts about the way the Rhaenys dragon situation, right? The Rhaenys dragon situation. I get that they wanted to do like this big dragon moment that was super cool, right? And that was really awesome and super badass. But I don't get... I don't think she had that good of a reason not to kill them all. Right? I don't think she had that good of a reason not to kill them all. And I guess you could say, like, well, she doesn't really know if she's even on Rhaenyra's side yet, right? She doesn't even know she's on Rhaenyra's side. So, like, maybe she's just like, eh. But like, just based on the fact that you, like, crashed out of here with your dragon, they're going to come after you. I mean, these people already tried to keep you prisoner and to steal your dragon, right? If it was me, if I was in her position, Otto, Alicent, Aegon, Daemon, everybody standing there would have been toast, right? Because this is the head, right? This is the head of it. Chop off the head. Chop off the head. Go back to the Red Keep. Sit there with your dragon and say, who wants to try me? I just took them all out, right? I just took them all out, right? So I feel like if Rhaenyra, I mean, if Rhaenys had, their names all sound the same. If Rhaenys had done that, what would have been the real consequences, right? Rhaenyra would have came to King's Landing and probably taken her throne, and like what I feel like she would have definitely conceded the throne to Rhaenyra. So like I don't think people are saying like, oh, she would have started a war and yada yada yada. Would she really though? A war with who? A war with who? With people that have dragons and people that don't have dragons, right? The only two houses that have dragons are House Targaryen and House Valyrian, right? So if she had killed those guys, who's going to fight her? A war with who, right? So I feel like she should have just killed them, right? I've yet to hear a good reason why she didn't just kill them. She did not wish to commit kinslaying. It's probably the best one that I can think of right now, but yeah. But still, though, it's still kind of like, let me weigh it. Let me weigh it because, like, if you fly away right now, that means the war is definitely going to happen. Like, a war is happening anyway, right? I feel it's like Tywin Lannister said, is it better to let 10,000 men die at war or to kill a few at dinner, right? I feel like blast them. Like, if she had blasted them, there would have been no war. And yeah, I feel like the kinslaying thing is the only real answer. But even that is kind of like, okay. So yeah, I think my deal is, I think the best episode, I think was episode 8. I think the best episode was when the episode where the king dies, right? And we see Viserys coming back into the throne room. He's just gonna sit in his throne one more time. It was so like epic. Oh, so that was a good moment. And then I thought that that's episode 8, right? Yeah. And I thought that episode 9 and 10 were a little bit weaker, especially episode 9. Episode 9 didn't quite hit for me. It felt like one of the more like rushed Game of Thrones episodes. So episode 9 didn't quite hit for me. And then episode 10 also, I think, fell a little bit short. And that's saying that I'm saying that, like, by the way, acknowledging that this is, by the way, if you're not sure what I think yet, I think this is a very high quality show. This is a great show, right? The politics are very complicated. I think the characters are really good. All the sets and clothing and costumes are really good. I think the plot is the plot's a little bit like go wherever, kind of a little bit. But I think it's still pretty, it flows pretty well. So I would say this show is like a solid, absolutely 100% a solid first season. But yeah, it does have certain kinks to work out. And a lot of that is just like due to like, you know, the medium that it's being adapted from, like these huge A Song of Ice and Fire books. And a lot of these things are the Fire and Blood. A lot of these events are like told in like a couple of paragraphs, right? So they're having to like fill in a lot of the gaps of what happened, right? So there's things that like in Fire and Blood and in the World Book that are kind of presented one way, and then in Fire and Blood we'll see a different aspect of it. Like for instance, I'm pretty sure in the book, it says Aemon just like killed the dragon on purpose. Like Aemon does that on purpose in the book. But in the show, it appears to be some kind of accident, right? Someone says, I disagree with the show wasn't on par with the first season of Game of Thrones, and it has a lot to do with the books. Well, look, yeah, I agree. It has a lot to do with the books because Game of Thrones had like a whole entire book it could follow. But this show, they have like just a few pages really, and then they have to really like stretch it out and like fill in all the things, right? So yeah, anyway, like I was saying, I don't think in the book, I think in the book it says like he did that on purpose, but in the show it's like he lost control of the dragon, which was really cool to see, because in Game of Thrones, it's like Daenerys most of the time has perfect control over her dragons, except for like that one time, like one time she doesn't. But in the book, it's not like that at all. In the book, like she can barely control Drogon, especially. Like he just goes where he wants to go. So it's not like I can just tell this beast that's been living for hundreds of years to like go where I want it to go and do what I want it to do. It's an animal at the end of the day. And it was cool to see, like, you're riling up the dragon, and eventually the dragon's like, you know what, fuck this other dragon. Like, it's annoying, right? The dragon got annoyed, right? And it just makes me think of a dragon is not a slave. Like, a dragon is not a slave. Like, the Targaryens have a special connection with the dragons. The Targaryens have a special bond with the dragons, but a dragon is not something that... A dragon is a sentient being of its own, right? It has its own will. Okay, speaking of special bond, right? Okay, one thing that I really enjoyed seeing in the last episode, right? And by the way, if you're enjoying the stream so far, please hit the like button. And also, I just got married, in case you guys didn't know. I got married yesterday, so hit the like button for my wedding. Anyway, so one thing I enjoyed seeing was Rhaenyra's lizard baby. Right. So this was very exciting. This wasn't something that I was ever sure that we were going to get to see in any type of Game of Thrones show or Song of Ice and Fire show. It's mentioned in Game of Thrones, and at the end when she says the baby like had scaled like a lizard and claws and bat wings. So in this, we finally get to see one of those messed up Targaryen babies that we always hear about, except it wasn't as it wasn't as fantasy gruesome graphic as as it's described in the book. So in the books, they're like a lot more gruesome, and here it was kind of just like a misshapen head, scaled dead baby, which is cool to see at least that, right? That was cool to see at least that. So I enjoyed seeing that. It's one of those really weird things about like the Targaryens and their bloodline, right? So we don't know how exactly it came about that the Valyrians gained this connection with dragons and gained control over these dragons. We don't know. But we do know that the Valyrians did all sorts of experiments on that island. What's the island called? God, you guys know, right? There's an island off the coast of Valyria where they did all the weird, creepy experiments where they were like combining animals together and combining like humans maybe and animals, like doing all sorts of creepy, twisted stuff. Someone in the comments will know it for sure. Someone will know. Where's David Lightbringer when you need him? I forget what it's called, but there's a weird little island, right? And it's just like Gagasos. Yeah, it was on the tip of my tongue. That's it. Gagasos. That's it. So, yeah, so maybe the Targaryens, maybe the Valyrians, that's how they made that connection. And the fact that Targaryens sometimes just have a dead lizard baby is some remnant of that connection that's been left over from that time period, right? So it's like they did something to their bloodline, right? They did something to their blood to make it so they have this bond. And like as a remnant of that, sometimes they just have like messed up babies where it just goes wrong. And it's a weird, creepy, like almost Lovecraftian aspect of like the Targaryens, because like Lovecraft, there's this one specific motif in Lovecraft's work where there'll be a character, often the main character. Siona, she's having a bad dream. Girl, Siona, wake up. So there'll be a character that will find out that they have this dark, twisted lineage. They'll be like related to some like horrifying being, or they'll be like a deep one secretly, and they'll start changing into a deep one. It's like really like gruesome body horror. And George R. R. Martin is definitely a big fan of H.P. Lovecraft. There's all sorts of references throughout his entire body of work. So I wouldn't like doubt if that was kind of a reference to that. So I liked seeing that baby. Okay, and okay, another thing that I liked seeing. Well, I didn't like seeing this, but it validated something for me. So George R. R. Martin likes to do the incest thing, and it's super weird, but it's like whatever. It's like in the plot. But like one thing that I thought was kind of weird about like the Rhaenyra Daemon relationship in this show, up until like the last episode, was that it was kind of too like, oh, they're just like this awesome hot couple. But I'm like, this should be like weird because like isn't ultimately George R. R. Martin making a critique like with Jaime and Cersei? Like their whole relationship is about narcissism. They're like twins and they love themselves so much that they're the only two people for each other. But like with like Alicent and Daemon, it just not Alicent, Rhaenyra and Daemon, it just seemed a little bit too like, I don't know, like perfect, you know, whatever, like this like bad boy romance or whatever. But when he choked her in that last episode, that's when I was like, okay, yeah, this is this is what we should be seeing, because it's like this is not a cute little relationship. Daemon is Daemon is not a good person. Like, and that's the other thing where people are like, people want to take sides. Daemon Targaryen is not a good person. Daemon Targaryen is a bad person. Like, he's not a good man. And I feel like let's not do this thing where we're like, oh yeah, like I ship Daemon and Rhaenyra like power couple, because that's not what's going on here. That's not at all what's going on here. We should be disturbed by these things. And that's why this show is so good too, in a lot of aspects, because there's a lot of things that it shows us, but it's not telling you what to feel about it, right? It's not telling you what to feel about the things that it's showing you. It's up to you to be like, okay, this isn't great, is it? And I love that. I love that. And I think that because one of the reasons that we're getting like this whole like online tribalism thing is people are used to movies and TV shows telling them exactly what to feel and telling them exactly who the bad guys are. So a lot of people are having a really hard time accepting that these characters are nuanced. A lot of people are having a really hard time accepting that these characters, it's complicated. There's nothing simple about there's nothing simple about the relationship between these characters and this whole, and anything in this. And I think that's great. But a lot of people don't know how to cope with it, I think. So yeah, it was, and I know a lot of people were kind of shocked by the Daemon thing, like him choking her. And I'm like, why are you shocked by him choking her though? He killed the last wife. He killed his last wife, guys. So why are you? Of course. Daemon. Oh, see, also, I was saying too, like how they kind of stripped. I feel like so far Rhaenyra has kind of been stripped of ambition a little bit. Daemon is not. Daemon is all about ambition. He knows exactly what he wants. So yeah, that's all that matters for him. He wants to be king, right? Someone says, but he's hot. Yeah, that's exactly like some people's take on it, right? Which is really weird because he's not a good guy. Let's see. What else in House of the Dragon are we going to talk about? One thing that I will say, it's kind of sad to me, and this isn't House of the Dragon's fault. It's Game of Thrones' fault. It's kind of sad to me that we'll never like see the actual Dragonstone on screen, because it's just going to look like that ugly Dragonstone castle from Game of Thrones. I feel like Dragonstone in Game of Thrones was designed for Stannis. It was designed to be Stannis's castle. So it doesn't look very Targaryen to me. Like in the book, it's so awesome. It's got all like the gargoyles and it just looks so cool. And I really don't like Dragonstone in the show. But like I said, that's not the House of the Dragon's fault. That was the design that was carried over from Game of Thrones. But yeah, I would have liked to see them, like, I don't know, maybe there was some dragon gargoyles that were like torn down, you know what I mean? I was hoping to see more of those. Someone says, so is House of the Dragon good or not? Well, I said House of the Dragon, I think, is very, 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 very good. It's a very high quality show. Definitely has some problems, but like very good characters. It's not simple, complicated plot. Yeah, it's a good show. It's a good show. Um, I don't think every show of violence from Daemon is calculated. I agree. I agree. I mean, he's definitely has a lot of anger that he keeps in for sure. Hmm. Yeah, but I would have liked. Yeah, like exactly. They changed up the Iron Throne to make it more to make it look more like the way the Iron Throne looks in the book. And I would have liked to see something like that for Dragonstone. Although I do like the new way they're using the painted table with like they put the candles under it and it lights up. That's cool. It's not exactly a painted table still. It's just like a wooden table, but it lights up now, so that's kind of cool, I guess. Okay, we talked about this a little bit in the beginning, but yeah, I think Rhaenyra absolutely made the wrong decision sending her sons alone, right? I feel like that was the wrong decision. Like, uh, they can sure let them bring the dragon, but like let them like fly with like a garrison of people, right? Like, don't send him alone. Like, this is a child. I know it's supposed to be like he's a man grown and yada yada yada, but he wasn't equipped to do this. He can't walk up to this Baratheon dude and make him do anything. Like, this is a fully grown lord, and you're sending a child. Like, to me, that was another like really, really, really dumb decision that Rhaenyra made, in my opinion. So we've gotten a lot of super chats. Someone said no Garrison would have had a chance against Vhagar. Well, that wasn't the point. If we go by the show, like Daemon wasn't intending to kill Vhagar in the first place. But I think that at least if this kid had shown up with like some fully grown men, like he would have been a little bit more respected than just like him coming in like, oh, my mom sent me. You have to come help us. Like, come on. How will the escort follow? Guys, Alexander, really? Have we not seen a million times in Game of Thrones Daenerys on ships and the dragons are flying in the sky following the ships? Like, have we not seen that? Like we've seen Daenerys go to war in dragons. How do you think we go to war with dragons? You think the dragon walks? They fly in the sky above it. I mean, it's not that hard. Like, if they wanted to like be in a hurry, but like, what good is being in a hurry if you're sending a little boy? The dragon can't come inside the castle. I don't know. She obviously she thrust both of her sons. She's especially young into an extremely dangerous situation. Someone says it was medieval times. I get it, but then don't cry and then act surprised when he gets eaten by the bigger dragon. Then, right? Don't cry and act surprised when he gets eaten. It's medieval times, girl. It's medieval times. That's why you shouldn't send your child, right? Yeah, it's medieval times. Exactly. Anyway, let me get to like the super chats. I know we got a bunch of them. I got a bunch of them building out, so I can look those up here. And then supers. Okay, let's start with the first one. So why the fuck would you name Viserys? Why the fuck would Viserys name Otto Hightower Hand again after Rhaenyra told him he challenged the succession? And what prompted this, especially after Viserys basically accuses Otto of murdering Jaehaerys? I don't know. They didn't explain it. They totally didn't explain it. I just like assume it has something to do with like just him becoming very sick and just like Rhaenyra, like Otto just like weaseling into Alicent and just like his Alicent's doing essentially. I don't know. They really don't explain it. Do they explain it? Do they say something about it? Because it's kind of just like, oh, he's back. I feel like it has something to do with Alicent being queen. So like she made that happen. So thank you, Yannicka Quilt, for your $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Connor O'Hare says, their reaction would have been Shakespeare's Titus. I don't know what you're referring to, but thank you for your super chat. Thank you, LPG123338. Love your content. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Jasnia Lewis, how do you feel about the Aemon accident? Also, I'm only a Dune fan because of your series. You're awesome. Well, we talked about the Aemond accident, and I think it's interesting because the history books that we have, Fire and Blood and the World of Ice and Fire, they're history books, right? History books is they don't necessarily always tell the truth. So I think it's cool that it was an accident. Although we are doing that thing too, where we're taking away agency from the character because they want to kind of like muddy the waters a little bit. But I think it's one of the least offenses. Okay, it's one of the least offensive alterations. I feel like it's not bad. So let's see. Nelson Marino. Since I watched your video on Alice Rivers, I have been excited to see her on the show, especially with a Greer Aemond. Oh, the Witch Queen of Harrenhal is coming, baby. The Witch Queen of Harrenhal. Someone says, will there be spoilers in the stream? Well, spoilers for what we've already seen. I'm not going to spoil much. We're talking book spoiler. I mean, someone did just bring up Alice Rivers, which is kind of a book spoiler. Like, okay, Alice Rivers is one of the coolest characters in Fire and Blood. I'll just tell you who she is. And she has been confirmed in the show. And I'm so excited. She's going to be, basically, you can think of Alice Rivers as House of the Dragons, Melisandre. And right, you know, it's funny too because, okay. Here's the thing. This is tinfoil, right? I feel like it's totally possible that Alice Rivers just is Melisandre. Because the thing is with Alice Rivers in the book, it's like you don't know where she comes from. No one knows how old she is. Everyone's like, oh, she was this person's wet nurse and she was around at this time. It's like, and she's got all these like seeming magic powers. It's like, who are you? Who is this woman? And then she kind of just disappears from the story too. So it's like, I don't know. So at least I don't know if she is Melisandre, but she'll be this show's Melisandre regardless. But in the book, I think it's totally possible that she's Melisandre. So yeah. Without giving away too many spoilers, there's like some cool stuff that happens. And also I'm very excited next season to maybe see Harrenhal because well, she's called the Witch Queen of Harrenhal for a reason. So I don't know when we'll actually see that whole thing. But yeah, I'm excited. Okay. So someone says, congrats on getting married. We met at JordanCon a few years ago. You were on a panel with Daniel Green and Brett Weeks. Awesome to see how much your career has flourished since then. House of the Dragon is awesome. Whoa, that was a minute ago. JordanCon. Yeah. Well, nice to see you. Thank you for your super chat. Let's see what else we got here. Alt Monarchist says the reason people were shocked was because they assumed he loved his second and current wife, unlike the first, who he resented. Well, see the thing. Why did Daemon marry Rhaenyra? For power. Daemon. See, we get clouded in wanting to think these characters are heroes and that they're like super good people. Daemon married Rhaenyra because she was the heir to the throne, guys. This wasn't a I love Rhaenyra so much thing. like that yeah. Like it's not Daemon doesn't love anybody. That's what we got to realize, guys. Daemon doesn't love anybody. Daemon wants that throne, baby. Someone says Rhaenyra should have gone herself. Well, like didn't like 3 dragons fly? I saw 3 dragons fly out. Like I assumed Rhaenyra went somewhere. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what happens. But yeah. Okay. So that was all the super chats for now. So someone says Daemon is clearly a garbage person. Yeah. And honestly, that's been obvious for a really long time, right? That's been obvious for a really long time. And it's funny that like people don't see it. Like certain viewers just like can't recognize that for whatever reason. Someone says, excellent channel. Thank you very much. Yeah. So we just put out the Halloween special, Quinn's Ideas Halloween special, and I think it's really good. So you should watch that. It's my last video that I just put out. Okay, let's see what we got. So what did you guys think? Someone says clout chaser. Are you talking about me? Me? Me, a clout chaser? I don't know. I don't think I need to chase clout at this point. I've been doing YouTube for like 7, 8 years, and like I'm more successful than I've ever been, and I don't need House of the Dragon to get views on videos. So I don't know. If I was a clout chaser, wouldn't I just be posting videos about House of the Dragon, trying to suck as much content from this show as I possibly could, which I'm not doing. Like, I'm honestly doing this stream because like people that like me like enjoy it. But whatever. Daemon's purge of flea bottom illustrates how he shields himself from morality and causes to excuse his personal thirst for violence. True. I think Daemon does enjoy violence. I think there is like a sadistic element to him. Like the way he dealt with his like ex-wife was so like brutal. It's just like, bro, that's like a weird way to kill somebody. I get that he wanted to make it look like an accident, but dude. Someone says, Quinn, any idea when another Tadia book is coming out? Probably around 2024. Or maybe we might have a campaign launched by the end of 2023, because we're working on the Lie Behind the Star right now. And so Tadia will be up next. Mm-hmm. And the Lie Behind the Star will be a lot quicker to produce because it's a little bit shorter than Tadia. By the way, that's Tadia, my graphic novel. Link in the description, by the way, in case you didn't know. Someone says, Quinn, you have amazing content. Thank you so much. Someone says, imagine Daemon fans after blood and cheese. Exactly. Someone says, no, the clout chaser was about Daemon. Yeah. Oh, Daemon's definitely a clout chaser for sure. Just join. What's the consensus? Everyone here loves or hates the show. I think there's some people in the chat that don't like the show as much, and some people that like it a lot, and some people that are in the middle. My opinion is I like the show. I really do like the show. I enjoyed watching every episode. There was no time where I was like, oh, this sucks. This is like the worst of Game of Thrones. No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed being back in Westeros. I don't think we really saw outside of Westeros. Did we? I'm trying to think. I don't think we saw any glimpse of anything anywhere else. Yeah. But I think this show is pretty good. It's pretty good. I feel like it's more respectful to like the world, to like the fantasy universe than Game of Thrones was, right? I do. I like the colors on this show. I feel like it's very colorful and exciting. Whereas Game of Thrones was often very like Game of Thrones was either this brownish color or it was blue and black and gray, right? And there was nothing that really popped or that was really vibrant. Someone said the lighting sucked. Well, the lighting sucks sometimes in Game of Thrones too. Someone says, when's the next 3 Body Problem video? I don't know. I was working on one about the deep future when we get like Shang-Zine and like there's a whole like pocket universe that gets created. So we'll probably be doing some kind of video on that era in the 3 Body Problem universe soon. Okay. Someone says, can you make a poll if people like it or not? Also, congratulations on the wedding. Well, thank you so much. I'm a married man now. I keep messing with this ring. Let's see. Can I do a poll? Wait, should I do a poll? How do I do a poll? I'm gonna make a poll, and then you guys can answer if you liked House of the Dragon or not, and I will put it in the chat. So, okay. So you guys get ready. Look in the chat, and I'm gonna be posting this poll here. survey. Let's see, create poll, copy link. I'm pasting it now. There's your poll. You guys go take that survey. We'll take that survey, and then we will get the results. We'll get these results. All right, everyone's voting. Everyone's voting. Yes, my children, vote. Vote, my children. How do I tell how many people have voted? It's just giving me the percentages. Yeah, so it looks like numbers are coming in. So far, we're at like 64% people loved it. 28% liked it. 6%, oh, it was okay. 1%, it was not good. 1%, it was terrible. So in general, everyone's really liking the show. In general, everyone's either like really liking it or just kind of liking it or just like it's okay. So yeah, so in general, I think the consensus is people like the show. The show is pretty good. Like we're enjoying House of the Dragon. We're excited for season 2. It's going to be fun for us. And yeah. At this point, we got a few more super chats to take in just a minute. But at this point, I'm really able to enjoy House of the Dragon because I'm not covering every episode on the internet. Because when Game of Thrones was coming out, it was like I felt the need to like, okay, I got to review this episode. I got to review this episode. I got to review this episode. But like doing it this way and just like kind of enjoying it on my own time when I want to enjoy it, and then talking about it on the internet when I want to, has been a lot better for me because I can just kind of relax, have a glass of wine, enjoy the show, and I don't have to worry about like, okay, now I gotta make this video about the show. It's very, very like tiring, honestly. So so I think this experience has been a lot more fun for me than those last few seasons of Game of Thrones, especially. So it looks like the amount of people that are saying they loved it is dropping slightly. So we got I loved it at 62% now, and I liked it at 27%, and at 10% it was okay. We got a 0% it was terrible. So I feel like that's really good, right? We got a 0% of people thinking that it was bad, that it was just horrible, right? Let's get these super chats. How do you feel about the emphasis on the prophecy in House of the Dragon? Do we think we'll get any White Walker rumblings when the show goes north next season? I hope not. I think it's too soon for any White Walker rumblings, right? The White Walkers, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe. But as far as the prophecy in the show, I will say this. I like it. I like it for a few reasons, because it gives whoever does future shows in the Game of Thrones universe, it gives whoever does like shows that are like past what happened with Daenerys, it gives them a way to fix certain things, right? Because this prophecy is saying that like this enemy won't be defeated without a Targaryen on the throne. Like it's like a whole thing, right? But if we see Game of Thrones, that's not what happens, right? There was no Targaryen on the throne when this was happening. So that could be a way for them to fix certain like that issue and like kind of like almost like retcon it and make it make a little bit more sense. And I think that was a good move. I think it was a good move. But now let's see what they do with it. They could still just make that terrible. That could still just be like terrible, and it might not work. So just have to see what they do with it. Your Alice Rivers fan casting, someone says. I'm really bad at fan casting. I don't know, because I really don't know actors. So I honestly couldn't tell you. Everyone always wants me to do fan casting. I'm like, I don't know their names. Okay. Let's see. What do you feel about the long 2-year wait between seasons? I am so happy about the 2-year wait. I don't think that's what you expected. Yeah. But I am so happy about the 2-year wait because I think it just, like delayed gratification. Like when you have time, when you have to wait for it, it's better in the end, right? They have more time to work on it. And then you don't have it in your life for a little bit, and then it comes back and it feels even better. You know what I mean? So I'm down with the 2-year wait. Someone says, "What's Tadia?" Tadia is my graphic novel that you can get. Link in the description. What someone says, Ultraviolence says, "What do you think about potential Jon Snow sequel attempt to retcon season 8?" Like I just said, I if they're gonna if they can do something good with it, right? If they can make it work, then make it work. I don't see why not, right? You've got this glaring, horrible ending, right? And if you have a way to kind of fix that in another show, at least, I think do it. Ultimately, it isn't going to make Game of Thrones a better show because it is what it is. But we can fix certain like narrative plots if we want to keep this consistent. We want to keep like everything, all the canon narratives consistent and all that stuff. Then yeah, we can fix it in another show. I'm not against it. I'm not against it. Somehow the Night King returned. Well, honestly, I wouldn't mind it if the Night King returned. Maybe not as the Night King. Maybe as he like reincarnates in like a different form or whatever. But at the end of that long night episode in Game of Thrones, honestly, I was thinking that like maybe like I was honestly thinking that the Night King would come back. I was like, that can't be his end, right? He couldn't be. He did not just get stabbed and then just die, right? That's not the end of like this ancient being of death that's existed for like thousands of years and never been defeated. And this is how he dies. And no one else was ever able to do that. Like the Children of the Forest have been fighting with those obsidian weapons for a really long time, and I don't know, maybe it was the Valyrian steel, but I don't know. Honestly, the fact that it's even Valyrian steel that kills the White Walkers implies that it had something to do with the Children of the Forest anyway. I don't know. Did the Children of the Forest like have something to do with the creation of Valyrians? I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know. These are likely things that George R. Martin is never going to explain. So I don't know. You can just kind of go on and on and on and on with like kind of conspiracies about what's going on. And let's refresh the poll is again and see where we landed. Yeah, so we basically landed at 63% of people love it, 25% liked it, 10% it was just okay, and only 1% it was not good, 0% it was terrible. The people have spoken. House of the Dragon is 2 thumbs up. Good show. It's a good show. Someone says, seems like a story that was never finished. I agree. Let's see. If you were a prisoner doing a Song of Ice and Fire, would you rather your captor be Gregor, Ramsay, or Euron? Oh my God. Gregor. Because I feel like Gregor would just he's a savage, but he only does what he's told, right? Where I feel like Ramsay would just torture me for fun, and Euron would also torture me, but then he would also use me in like some fucked up ritual and like sacrifice my soul to a demon or something. So I feel like Gregor is like the only like option that like that you have really, like, which is crazy. Like when Gregor is like the the only good option, right? That's a good one. That's a good one. And honestly, I would rather it be Gregor after like the whole like thing, because like I feel like he would be like, yeah, because then he's just like a dog. He's just gonna do whatever like the person is controlling it tells him to do. Yeah, Gregor does seem the most escapable. Like he's in all that armor, and like he's kind of slow. He's like really strong, but he's like kind of slow. So I can see like me. I'm kind of like small, so I get like kind of scuttle past Gregor. I could do it. Someone says, will George R. R. Martin ever finish a Song of Ice and Fire books? Or do you think he has an internal writer's block? Okay, I think it's multifaceted with George R. R. Martin. I think, for one, he's been working on this series for like, I don't know, like what, 25 years? And I think he could be like just burnt out and he's just tired of the world and tired of the characters. And also, like, the show happened and it kind of stole his thunder. And I think the ending of the show will be somewhat similar to the book. Except it's going to be obviously different in a lot of ways, but I think like the baseline thing of like Daenerys kind of doing something that destroys King's Landing and kills a bunch of people, I think that will happen. But it won't be like it is in the show where she just like totally snaps and kills kids. It'll be a lot more complicated. But I do think there's definitely threads in the show that'll be similar in the book, and I think that to some degree he might be just like a little bit afraid of what like how people are going to react to it. I think he might like be thinking like, oh, people reacted very poorly to a similar narrative thread in the show, so maybe like he's just a little bit nervous about it. And then also writer's block is also like a possibility because it's like, like sometimes like you just don't know what to do in a story. Like sometimes you really just don't know what to do. Yeah, so I think it's a lot of things. And he's also like, isn't he in his 60s? I mean, he's got a lot of money now. Like he's probably like really enjoying his life, right? So I feel like he probably has less incentive to finish the book, right? So like let's say like he releases Winds of Winter, right? And then a bunch of people hate the ending of it, or like something happens and like people just don't like it. It's not worth the wait. Also, like the wait has been so long that he probably feels like, oh, it has to be like the most perfect book ever. But imagine he releases it and it's like gets panned or it's not worth the wait, and that's kind of a stain on his career. But if he leaves it unfinished and then he passes on in like 10, 20 years, however long, right? Then he just leaves behind an unfinished epic, right? He just leaves behind an unfinished, amazing series, and he never had to like write those last two books. And I feel like I don't know, when you really, really think about it, like, am I gonna risk pissing everybody off and like not giving them a story that is good enough? That this is in his mind, I think, or am I just gonna just like wait it out, essentially, and then still be remembered as the person that wrote A Song of Ice and Fire? You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah. Someone says like Berserk. Yeah. Um. So yeah, that's what I think is going on, and I'm not like happy. I'm not like happy to say that or anything, but it's just like Someone says whatever he writes, some people will be pissed, and I think that's a part of it as well, right? No matter what he writes, he's not going to be able to please everybody, and I do think George R. Martin is kind of a sensitive person because he's said as much before that he's kind of sensitive. He doesn't really like read like fan stuff on the internet. And I just think, yeah. I remember when the South Park episode came out, he like talked about how he didn't watch it for months because he's just very sensitive about it. So yeah. Do you think he had the same ending in mind as the show and that's why he stopped writing? I don't think it was the same, but I think there probably were some similarities in plot. Like, I think there were, yeah. Mm-hmm. Someone says, if I was in his position, I would be enjoying life and working less. So maybe no reason to finish the books. Yeah, I mean, 75 years old, you've already written 5 giant books in this series. Someone says, is your wife a nerd? Let me show you something. Mm-hmm. 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 There we go. That is my husband, James. Yeah, so I do not have a wife, but I do have a husband. And James also makes all of the music for Quinn's Ideas. So if you've ever heard like all of the cool synth music, the theremin music in my Halloween special, it was all James. So yeah, we got married yesterday and it was super great. We're actually going on our honeymoon next month and it's gonna be good. So we're very excited. So yeah, everyone say hey to James. There he is in the chat. James, where'd you go? I saw you in the chat. Disappeared. Oh, there he is. Everybody go subscribe to my husband, James. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anyway. And yes, he is a nerd. Mm-hmm. Someone says, I'm in the process of planning my own Game of Thrones themed wedding. Each table will be a house instead of a table number. That's actually pretty cool. Thanks, everyone, for all the crap. Congratulations. Thank you all. Why are you not taking a break and enjoy the honeymoon? Well, our honeymoon is next month, so we're like taking a little bit. So yeah. Someone says, I think he's probably written and rewritten it because of fans' reaction to the Game of Thrones finale. You know, I wouldn't like be surprised. Okay, George R. R. Martin has said before, that he doesn't read fan theories online because he's too tempted to change the story if they get it right. I think he didn't want his ending to be spoiled, right? So I think he might be compelled to change it. I think definitely George R. R. Martin might be compelled to change the story a little bit. So, you know, that's just my thing. Thank you so much, Vinny, for becoming a member. Someone says, I just made such a cool short horror comic of the Night Fort while listening to you last night. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. I noticed that a lot of people are going through and listening to my old A Song of Ice and Fire content. It's actually like getting a resurgence, which is really interesting. It's making me think maybe you might see some future Quinn's ideas, A Song of Ice and Fire content on this channel. That might just be happening. It might just be happening. Someone says, where's the new book already? You mean Winds of Winter? Who knows? Who knows? So let's see. What else about House of the Dragon can we talk about? Let's see. House of the Dragon. I think next season is when we'll really get to see like the development of all the characters. I feel like we haven't really gotten to know some of the characters really that much. A lot of development did happen in just a few episodes, but I feel like these actors that are present now will be the actors that we will get to know like moving forward. So I think we'll have a lot more connection to characters in future seasons, because I think season 1 in a way kind of felt like a little bit of a montage because we kept skipping several years. And I know personally that was disappointing. I mean, not disappointing. That was a little bit confusing to some people. Like some people said to me, like, "Oh, like I'm not sure what's going on. Like who's this character again? Who's that?" So that was a little bit confusing for some people. But I think next season we'll really get to see the characters be developed a lot more, and we'll really get to know these characters in the skin that we're seeing them in now. Oh, awesome super chat. First super chat. Hello, Quinn. I love your videos. Loved House of the Dragon almost more than the Lord of the Rings movies. But I feel like the show needs a really good battle scene to put it over the top. You're right. And I feel like we'll definitely be seeing that in season 2 and season 3. Looks like they're doing 3 or 4 seasons, I think, but I think we'll definitely be seeing that in season 2 or 3. For sure. For sure. There's some pretty good stuff to come. Let's see. Someone says, I wish they had put a 10 years later on screen. Yeah, I mean, would that have been so hard, honestly, to be like, okay, 5 years later, 10 years later? I don't understand why they didn't do that. I think it would have been a lot less confusing for some people than to just do the jumps immediately. And then also, like, it's cutting out so much. It's like it's not explaining like how this person get back or what happened with that person. So that's kind of a weak point in the show. I mean, definitely there's certain things that you don't need to explain. Like you can just kind of infer that something happened. But I think Otto is the specific example where it's just like, you're just back. And I don't know why you're back. And I don't know who allowed you back. It's like, can we kind of, how did he get back in the castle? Who let this happen, right? But then also on the same side of that, you can infer basically what happened is like, you know, he weaseled Alicent down a little bit. And then, you know, he just snuck back in. The king is getting sicker and sicker, snuck back in. Also, 100% the king was definitely being poisoned. Like that was not a natural death. The king was definitely murdered, in case somebody's wondering. Someone says that dog looks cute. Siona. So lazy. Just completely lazy. Siona. Girl. Siona. I think she's dead. Anyway. Someone says, will they do a show based on the cultures of Yi? I hope so. Like, God, Yi would be so cool. Yi, yeah. If you don't know about Yi, it's like this Asian-inspired country in the Far East, in the Song of Ice and Fire universe. And it's like one of the most ancient civilizations, if not the most ancient civilization on that planet. So it'd be really interesting to see Yi in a show, 100%. Someone says, am I tripping, or was there a magic dragon binding horn in Game of Thrones? And if so, will it show up in House of the Dragon season 2? Yeah, there's a magic dragon binding horn. Um, it's kind of implied that this dragon horn or these dragon horns, whatever they were, there's only one known to exist currently in the A Song of Ice and Fire universe, and it's the one that Euron has. Kind of what it's implied, these objects were created by the Valyrians as a way to master their dragons. This horn had the power to bind dragons to its will. But there's something weird about it. It seems like only certain people can actually use such a thing safely, right? Because average people that blow it, they cook from the inside. Like their insides turn into like smoldering black ash when they blow this horn, and they just die, basically. So I think it's kind of implied that someone of Valyrian ancestry could blow the horn and safely bind a dragon to their will. So I don't know if that's going to show up in this show at all. Probably not, but that is a really, really interesting concept. They did mention House Celticar, I think. And House Celticar, okay, look, here's one thing. Here's one thing that I'm super excited about. It's not really in the book. It's in the book in a different place, but not like in this situation. So they did mention House Celticar. And House Celticar has a very, 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 very cool item, supposedly, called the Kraken Horn. And like the Dragon Horn, the Kraken Horn can summon a Kraken. So, oh my God, can you imagine next season or like season 3, like getting a Kraken scene? I've wanted a Kraken scene for so long. The Kraken scene in a song of in Fire and Blood doesn't have anything to do with the Dance of the Dragons, but it's just there's other people that see a Kraken. It's like a whole different thing. But if we're mentioning House Celticar and they have this dragon horn, I mean, give us a Kraken, you know what I mean? Pull it out, whip it out. I'm down. I think there were romantic feels between Ray and Alicent. You think Alicent was maybe suppressing some romantic feelings? Kind of makes sense a little bit. I don't know. Someone says, first of all, congratulations to the couple. Second, do you think that the next seasons will show the importance of the Targaryen bastards in the story? I mean, it should, right? What's up, Daniel Green? Daniel Green in the chat. Daniel Green. Daniel Green, creator of Fantasy News. Daniel Green in the house. Daniel Green in the house. Yeah, yeah. I should do your theme song, Daniel. You should should hire me, and I can record you like a little jingle. Daniel Green in the house. Daniel Green giving fantasy news. Daniel Green. Yeah, hit me up, Daniel. We'll make this happen. Someone says, I heard there will be Krakens. There be Krakens, motherfucker. I'm ready for those Krakens, man. I'm ready for those Krakens. Someone says, dragon magic is lost. Maybe. So please, I would kill for that. Kayla just immediately said yes. That's awesome. Let's do it. Let's do it. Someone says, I bet Quinn sings to his dogs for fun. You goddamn right I do. You're goddamn right. 100%. You know, guys, here's the truth. I actually did a cover of Stevie Wonder's Superstition. Very superstitious, writings on the wall. That one. I actually did a whole cover. I did like this piano cover of that song. And I was gonna put it in my Halloween special, but I was like, at the last minute, I was like, no, this isn't really like a supernatural, superstitious type of Halloween special. It's more about aliens. So that's kind of shelved. And maybe I'll put that on Twitter later, or maybe I'll put it in the next Halloween special, but it's kind of shelved for this one. I think I did a really good job. It's one of the yeah, I kind of killed it. Anyway. So everyone who can carry a tune is tempted to perform for their pets. Best audience ever. Yeah, because they just listen. Dude, just get it mixed and mastered out there. Okay. Singing video win? I don't know. Probably never. Someone says, drop it in your next special. That's probably the option. I don't know what we're gonna do next year for the Halloween special. I don't know what we're gonna do next for the Halloween special, but yeah. Because this year we did aliens. Last year we did Lovecraft. Yeah, so this one we're gonna have to do another one. Anyway. Anyways, what else do we got with House of the Dragon before we like leave totally? Let's see. Let's talk about how lazy Viserys was, someone says. He should have handed over the crown to Rhaenyra before he died. Also agree with you on the stupidity of Rhaenyra. Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Let's talk about the motherfucker himself. Viserys Targaryen, this is all your fault. You're an idiot. You're so stupid. Like, oh my god, Viserys Targaryen. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Rhaenys should have been fucking queen. Oh god. So Viserys annoyed me the entire show. I did like at the end when he finally came out and did something, but I'm like, dude, you named your daughter heir, right? So like the moment that he named Rhaenyra heir, he should have been promoting her the entire time. She should have been everywhere that he was. She should have been at his side every time. He should have been constantly reaffirming, you are my heir. You are my heir. I know I have a younger son, but you are my heir. To not only to her, but to everyone else. Like he let the realm forget. It isn't like the reason everyone's all like, oh, stale promises and like stale oaths and shit. It's Viserys' fault. You can't let them forget. They don't have Twitter. They can't be constantly reminded of things. You can't let them forget. Like it's been decades. It's I don't know, decades. How long? It's been a long time, right? It's been a long time. So like, of course, the O's are kind of like shaky, and of course, people don't really know what's going on, right? You have to be out there like, nope, remember, she is queen. Nope, remember, she is queen. Every time somebody says something, nope, she is queen. Make it obvious. You have the power to do that. You are the king, right? And I feel like Viserys was so wishy-washy and back and forth with it that he ultimately led to this confusion. He led to all of this by not being a strong, firm ruler. Of course, people just discount your words, right? You're so like dumb, right? And then, okay, here's the thing, right? It's complicated, right? Because who does it? Viserys gets convinced to push Daemon away. Like Daemon can't be around. He gets convinced to push Daemon away, right? Or whatever. But it's like, Daemon is still your brother, right? Daemon is still your brother. And I feel like it's better to have your brother around than all these people that really don't care about you. Don't give a fuck about you. They'll poison you. At least your brother will put the crown back on your head. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But it is complicated because, also Daemon can't be trusted. But it's also nobody can be trusted. So it's like, I'd rather be with like family. Like we came out of the same womb than like surrounded by all these people that are killing me literally. Someone says, Quinn, I want to thank you for inspiration to start creating my fantasy series. I'm glad to see other young Black authors in the sci-fi fantasy space. Congrats on the marriage as well. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck on your fantasy series. Absolutely. Okay. Casey Crow says, so funny. I literally have a picture of me and Quinn and Daniel on my phone. You should both come back to Jordan Con. I totally remember you, Casey. I totally remember you. You totally were at the Dune panel as well, right? Casey, you totally were. I did the Dune panel, and you were totally there. Mm-hmm. Are you guys doing couples costumes for Halloween? Well, if you check out James's Instagram, you can see the costumes that we wore to the Halloween party, and they were kind of similar. He was like kind of like a chest burster, Men in Black, and then I was like Okay, so in The Sims, the video game, Sims can get abducted by aliens, and if the Sim is a man, then he can come back pregnant. So I was like a pregnant male Sim, and I had my like Sim thing on my like this. I had my like Sim thing on my head, and I was like pregnant, and so that was like, so we were both kind of like alien pregnant, so they did kind of go together, but mine was kind of more joking, and his was kind of more serious. But yeah, follow James on Instagram, and you can see that. Okay. Quinn, have you read Octavia Butler's book? Like which one? I have basically everything that Octavia Butler's ever written. I've got the Lilith Brood trilogy. I've got the Parable. I've got the what's it called, the Paternist. So yeah, we're definitely in the process of reading. I haven't read everything. I've mainly read Xenogenesis, and I've started the Parable of the Sower, but I got distracted. So we'll get back to that one eventually. So yeah, but yeah, Octavia Butler is an absolute master of science fiction. If you have not read Xenogenesis, aka Lilith's Brood, it's incredible, especially that first book. So yeah. Someone says, Sims, another failure franchise. Well, it's crazy that like the Sims can be like so popular and so bad at the same time. Because the Sims 4, I know we don't need to talk about video games, but yeah, the Sims 4 is horrible, right? It's so bad. So I tend to stick with like the older ones. Like the Sims 3 to me is like the best simulation game ever made. If you want to just create a world of people and just like have them be like real people and just like live in a world, it's super cool. The Sims 4 is not the deal. I recommend anybody that wants to play The Sims, don't buy The Sims 4, get Sims 3. Anyway. Back to House of the Dragon. What else? What else we got with House of the Dragon? We talked about Viserys. We talked about Rhaenyra. Talked about Rhaenys and how like she should have just done the thing. By the way, did you guys hear about the Corlys Valyrian sea snake show that's happening? Like what? What is up with that? Like I don't know about this. I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine, but like I don't know about that. That seems like not good. In my opinion, I don't know about a Corlys Valyrian show. A whole show? I don't know. He seems like a character that's just like a part of a show. It doesn't seem like a character that I want an entire show about. Someone says Larys, that weird freak. Oh God, Larys Strong, that motherfucker. Like that. Someone needs to slit his throat. Oh, they canceled the Corlys Valyrian show. Oh no. Anyways. Someone needs to slit his throat. Larys Strong. Kinslayer. Just Kinslayer, and all around horrible person. Okay, so the relationship that he has with Alicent is really interesting and weird. Because in my opinion, this is still an affair, right? Alicent is all like, "Oh, I'm pious and yada yada yada." You're still having an affair. This is still a sexual act that's being done. I know you're like showing him your feet or whatever, and he's just like doing it himself. But like, I don't know. That's still an affair, in my opinion. Like you're giving him a sexual favor. It's not like you're touching him, but that's still like a sexual favor. I don't mean. And then he's like doing this for you, so you can't really act all high and mighty, Alicent, in my opinion. So it's like, yeah. And also, you know that he murdered the Strongs too. So that's kind of a place where like Alicent is like, you know that he murdered the Strongs. So it's kind of like you're kind of full of shit, Alicent. Like you want to be like, I'm all pious and yada yada yada, but it's like, you're kind of like sanctioning murder. You're kind of like paying for people to be murdered and like doing all, yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. So that's a bit more nuance that gets brought in. So, oh yeah, Casey, you says after the Dune panel, we chatted for a while. I'd only read like Dune 1 back then. I remember that panel because I was on a panel with a lot of older guys. It was older guys, and I feel like most of these guys had only read the first Dune book, and if they'd read the other ones, they really didn't understand them. So I'm just kind of sitting on this panel, like listening to them say like wrong things, and I'm just like, oh no. And I remember like even one of the guys on the panel afterwards, he goes like, oh yeah, and like, what's your deal? And I go, oh, this is my YouTube channel. I made the ultimate guide to Dune. And he goes, oh, actually, I watched that to research for this panel. And I'm like, oh no. I don't know, because I think someone asked the question at that panel where they were like, oh, the later books are kind of sexist, right? And then like all the guys they're like, oh yeah, like they get sexist later. I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, all the characters are women. They're all women. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it was not good. It was not good. I don't know how I got through it. How did Daemon kill his wife? Did he part Caraxes a mile away, then walk to her? How did no one notice that Caraxes was in the Vale? Kind of a plot hole. That was kind of one of those moments I was just like, oh, he's there and then he's gone. You know, like in Game of Thrones, we would randomly have those teleportation moments. So it would just be like, I don't know. It's not really like that great. Yeah, it was weird, and I'm just like sitting on this panel, like getting talked over, and I'm just like, oh no, 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 let me actually explain what's really going on here, guys, because you're misinterpreting everything that's happening here. Like this is what happens when people don't read things and then just talk about them, or when people like skim through things and then try to talk about them. It's like you don't understand what's even happening. Someone says, Maynard Plum, do you think we will get a Blackfire Rebellion show after this? Also, what's the dog doing? She's living her life. Siona, everyone sees you. Siona, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, someone says, do you think we'll get a Blackfire Rebellion show after this? Maybe. I think with the success of this show, that like any A Song of Ice and Fire thing that they can do, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. I feel like a lot of things are possible at this point because House of the Dragon has been so successful. Lots of things are possible with as far as future shows are in regard. Okay. If Alicent didn't hear / misunderstand Viserys' last words, do you feel the Dance of Dragons could have been prevented or was it inevitable? Well, it looks like Otto and like the team was already planning to do it anyway. I think it would have been a lot harder without Alicent's consent, but like I think I think conflict was kind of gonna happen either way, right? I think Alicent would have eventually been worn down and convinced. Um, yeah, yeah. I think it would have still happened ultimately, or would have been, but it would have been a little bit more difficult. Hmm. Can you get out of here? Okay, guys, what's going on with YouTube like recently? Like YouTube has had like a lot of bots. There's a lot of bots on YouTube like now. Like I get like all of these like they're like coming in my comment section and they're trying to get telling people that I like gave them PlayStation 5. I'm getting messages on Twitter like Quinn, some message said I was going to get a PlayStation 5 and I'm like, no, that wasn't me. So guys, if you see something that's like you're getting like a PlayStation 5 or like go to this like Telegram website, that is not Quinn's ideas. That is not me. That is a bot that is using my channel and name. And basically YouTube is not doing anything about it. They're just kind of like letting it happen. So like it's kind of dangerous. It's kind of dangerous for like a lot of I think older people that don't really like get what's going on can get tricked by that, and like younger people too, like younger kids and stuff like that. So it's like it's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying. I don't know how YouTube would go about remedying this issue, because I'm not like a programmer, but like God, there's got to be something they can do. It's getting out of hand. Okay, no question for me. Just wanted to say thanks for all the fantastic content you've been creating. Thank you so much. Someone says it's even worse on child-oriented channels. See, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Yeah. Anything from Telegram. Yeah, Telegram is a red flag. Anything from Telegram, steer clear. Let's see. Scarlet Witch, no more bots. No more mutants. That's a good reference. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't get that reference. Lord Shishna. So like in Marvel Comics, which event is this in? This is Avengers versus X-Men, I think. There's this whole thing where like Wanda Maximoff basically like deletes all the mutants off of the world. Like it happens around that. It's been a while since I read this. I was really into like the Marvel, especially X-Men stuff back in the day. But like there's a part where she like deletes all the fucking she like loses her shit and like kills all the mutants. Like she's like deletes them. And it's like a whole thing. And then like yeah, this whole thing. And then at the end of that, all of these new mutants are born, and then we get like all the new people and stuff. I think my chat froze. Yeah, House of M. Yeah. Totally. Have you read any manga? My manga reading is kind of limited. I've been reading Berserk. Yes, I read Uzumaki Junji Ito is really good. I like him a lot. So yeah, I've been reading his, but I don't read a lot of manga. I haven't read a lot, if I'm being honest. Someone says Dune ripped off Tremors. Exactly. People don't realize that. Quinn, I can't wait for the 3 Body Problem series to finally be released. Yeah. Does anybody know what's even going on with the Tencent release of Three Body Problem? Because it was supposed to come out in September and it's October 28th now, and I've heard nothing. Nothing. It's kind of frustrating. Aemon acted surprised, but what did he expect? Yeah, I mean, like I said, a dragon is an animal, right? And it's like with a dog, right? If you're like encouraging your dog to like chase after like something, eventually the dog is just gonna go and like if I'm like waving around a hot dog at Siona over there, she's eventually just gonna go and like bite the hot dog, right? So it's like I don't know what Aemon was just like he was trying to be like big bad and like I'm gonna taunt him and his little dragon. I think Aemon has always felt Aemon has always been insecure, like since he was a kid when they did the pig thing with him. So he's not like, I got the biggest dragon, I'm gonna chase you. So I think that's what was happening there. It just kind of got out of hand, and a dragon is not your pet slave. A dragon has instincts of its own and a will of its own. And honestly, Vhagar wanted a snack. Vhagar wanted a snack. Someone says, do you have two dogs? I do have two dogs, Major and Siona. That is Siona, named for Siona Atreides from God Emperor of Dune. And Major is short for Major Domo, also a title from God Emperor of Dune given to Mineo. So yeah. I think it's actually an Asian word, perhaps. I think the word has Asian origins, Major Domo. It means like the curator of one's household, like the manager of one's household. Mm-hmm. Someone says Bran, Warg, Vhagar, and Arrax from the future. I mean, honestly, don't put it past it. I mean, that's something that's possible in this world. See, here's the thing. This could be like totally weird like that. We don't know. We don't know what's going on here. Like, at the end of Game of Thrones, Bran does say, I'm going to find Drogon. I'm going to find him. What does that mean? So, I mean, a powerful enough skin changer, I feel like would totally be able to warg a dragon, in my opinion. But, like, I don't think that really has anything to do with the story. So I don't think they're going to add that contrivance into this because it just like makes it more convoluted for no reason. So I don't think we're gonna see that, but it's totally possible to see somebody warg a dragon 100%. Like maybe we'll go north and someone will like someone from beyond the wall. Like, aren't you guys excited to see the wall again too? Because I imagine that the wall is kind of in better standing. I don't know, maybe not. Like the wall's super ancient, but this is like 100 years earlier or so. So maybe the wall's a little bit more clean. No, it's probably still like a shithole. It's probably still a shithole. Yeah. Someone says Revenge of the Others. Yeah. Game of Thrones 2, Revenge of the Others. Someone says your opinion about the Jon Snow show. We talked about this a couple times on the stream already. Basically, I'm here for it, and I think they're going to try and attempt to fix some problems in Game of Thrones. And I'm not I'm not like excited about like the Jon Snow show, but I'm excited for like how they could potentially fix some issues in Game of Thrones, right? I'm excited about that aspect of it. I'm not excited about seeing Jon Snow in the Northwood Wildlings. Like I don't care about that. I don't care. So let's see. Aegon just abdicate to Aemon and fly away. Yeah. I think at this point, after they put the crown on his head, Aegon wants it. Yeah. I think before he was like, I don't want to be king. But once they put the crown on his head and he felt the rush of the crowd and he got just that little taste of admiration and power, I think he's gonna hold on to it as hard as he can. So yeah, that's not happening now. Like that would have been something maybe like before, but that's not happening now. Okay. How do you think Alice Rivers drug Sunflower into Harrenhal without leaving any tracks? I don't know. She's a witch. Glamour. You know what I mean? Hey Quinn, I saw you on TJ Does Life. Oh, that's crazy. Let's see. Do you like the original World of the War of the Worlds film? I think the aliens in it are kind of goofy, the way they look. But I mean, it's an okay movie. Honestly, this is gonna sound horrible to people. I don't know how people feel about this movie. But I like the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds. I do. I don't think it's that horrible. I like Dakota Fanning in it. I mean, it is kind of just like an action movie with Tom Cruise evading the aliens, but I like it. It's the one I saw when I was a kid, and I remember just like really liking it then. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I liked it. So yeah. Someone said Aegon went to weirdo piece of shit. Yeah, Aegon's got to be weird. All of Alicent's children are going to be weird. All of them are weird. They're all weirdos. And also, it's like pretty obvious that Aemon is also the father of Helena's children too. Like it's like those are not Aegon's children. Like Aegon probably has some other children, but those aren't. At least like a couple of them aren't. Yeah, for sure. And it says it's my favorite alien invasion movie. So yeah, if you want to see some more alien invasion movies, check out my Halloween special. I talked about a bunch of my favorite alien invasion movies and alien invasion things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Helena is really interesting because she has that quality that a lot of Targaryens were said to have, where she has these prophetic dreams and prophetic visions. That's something we saw with Daenerys the Dreamer. We're seeing that with Helena now. We saw that with Daenerys. There's something about them. Sometimes they can just can look beyond. And also in Dunk and Egg, isn't there the one Targaryen guy that has prophetic dreams? You guys know who I'm talking about. There's the Targaryen drunk brother that also has prophetic dreams. You know who it is. Someone's gonna know. Someone's gonna know. Let's see. Oh yeah, in my Darian, yeah. In my Halloween special, some people were going off on me about liking Signs, and I'm just like, Signs is a good movie, right? And like it depends on how you look at it, right? So if you think just watch, I'm not gonna explain what makes the Signs good, because if you haven't seen it, it kind of spoils it for you. But like, if you just pay attention to the movie, if you watch Signs and you just think it's an alien movie, watch it again and really pay attention to it, right? If you think Signs is just an alien movie that's just about aliens that invaded and then something happens and they have to leave, think about it again. Listen to what everyone's saying. Listen to what is actually being said. Are you the type of person that sees signs? You know what I mean? If you know what I mean, don't spoil it for anybody. But if you know what I mean, then you know what I mean, right? If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But it's like, just think about it. Watch it again. I think if you think Science is a bad movie and then you think it's about aliens and it's bad, watch it again. Watch it again. Hey, last super chat from me, but I was curious if you read Pushing Ice or House of Suns by Alistair Reynolds. I have not yet, but thank you for the recommendations. Both are standalone novels and deal with deep times so well. Interesting. I like that. I like that concept. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Someone says, what's the name about the title? I don't know what you mean. Are you talking about Signs? We're talking about the movie Signs. That's what I was talking about. Let's see. Okay. Thoughts on Viserys as a ruler? Was he a good king? I mean, he was a good king insofar as like he kept the realm out of wars. So I think the people will generally be like, oh, like he was good. But he was not good at managing his family, which is like also like an important aspect of being like not only a king, but like the head of a household, right? Like he made a lot of mistakes. He was a good king in some ways, as like he kept things afloat, and he's an okay king. But like because of him and his like dumb decisions and his inaction, there's gonna be a lot of death. There's gonna be a lot of death, and this is gonna lead to the fall of the Targaryen dynasty. So I mean, can we really say he was a good king? I don't think so. Well, someone says Science is free on YouTube right now. Definitely watch it if you haven't seen it. Like, just pay attention to what's going on, because like there's two levels to this. And then if you watch it again and you still don't get what I'm talking about, then look it up. But I feel like watch it first, and then if you still don't get what I'm talking about, look it up. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't know this. I was one of the naysayers that was like, Signs, like, where are the signs? And then literally my husband, James, was like, hey, we're going to watch Signs again. And I want you to really pay attention to it this time. And when I really paid attention to it, I was like, oh, shit. I didn't even, like, because you can watch that movie over and over and over again and never know what it's about. It's one of those movies. And I feel like still to this day, it goes over people's head. And I was one of those people. Mm-hmm. Someone says, what about the water is a metaphor? The water's not a metaphor. Sergey, see, that's what I'm saying, Sergio. The water is not a metaphor at all. It's not a metaphor. It's not a metaphor. There's a specific reason that happens with the water at the end of the movie. A very specific reason. And it totally makes sense. Like, I'm not yanking your chain. Like, everyone's always like, oh, why would the aliens come to Earth if they knew blah, 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 blah. Think about it. Think about it. Okay, see, Joseph Phillips, see, you're not thinking about it the right way. None of y'all are thinking about it the right way. I almost just want to go into the spoilers. Because none of y'all are thinking about it the right way. Some of y'all know. Some of y'all know, but some of y'all don't. Some of y'all don't. Anyway, we're not gonna keep doing that. Just watch it. Just watch it, because I can't contain it. One day I might just do a stream about Signs. Look, this is the homework for you guys. Everybody go watch Signs. And then when we do a stream next week, we will talk about Signs, and we'll talk about the real Signs. We're not going to spoil this. We'll wait. So everyone go watch it first. Everyone go watch it and come back here next. When I start streaming, come back and we will talk about the real Signs and what it's actually about. Mm-hmm. The film makes it clear the water planet criticisms are totally missing it. Yeah, you're missing it. Someone says Signs is 1 million years old. Swing away. No, we're not watching Signs again, James. We watched it too recently. No, it's funny because me and James, okay, this is what me and James did recently. That was really funny. So we watched like both of the Brendan Fraser mummy movies, and they were really good. Like the first one is like solid, like the sets and characters and the sets and designs. It's really pretty, beautiful movie, and it's a lot of fun. The second one's not as good, but it's still fun. And then we watched the Tom Cruise mummy movie. Oh God, the Tom Cruise mummy movie is so bad. I had no idea the Tom Cruise mummy was going to be this bad. Okay, guys, 90% of the movie wasn't in Egypt. The movie wasn't even in Egypt. And the mummy was a zombie, and the mummy made other zombies. And it was just, and I'm just going to spoil this one because this movie sucks. You don't need to watch it. At the end of the movie, Tom Cruise becomes the mummy. And he's like the new mummy. And he's like, I'm the mummy now. And I'm in the desert. And I'm going to hunt down artifacts. And also the movie was half about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They were trying to do like some like combined universe thing with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Dracula and Swamp Thing. And I guess Tom Cruise was supposed to be like the leading guy. And he was going to be the mummy. And then he was going to go like help find all the other guys. And it was going to be like the Avengers with like the Universal monsters. No. Me and James were dying laughing at this movie. This movie is so unintentionally funny at times, but then there's also those parts that are just a slog. But like, period, it's just one of the worst movies I've ever seen. One of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I do not say that lightly. It was bad. So, and we knew it was going to be bad. I don't think we knew how bad because we were just kind of like, we watched the Brendan Fraser ones, super fun. Let's see what like the Tom Cruise one has to offer. And it's like, way to suck the soul out of something, right? Like the Brendan Fraser ones are so cool and fun. They even like reference the Brendan Fraser one in this one. They have like the gold book from the movie, the book of the living, the book of Amun-Ra, whatever it's called. They have that, and it's like they don't do anything with it though. It's like stupid. Anyway, it was terrible. I just want to talk about how terrible that was. Someone says, "What day is the science?" Well, we're going to talk about. We'll stream sometime next week again. And like I said, guys, I want you all to go out and watch Signs, and we're gonna talk about Signs. We're gonna do it. It's gonna be great. So yeah. Let's see what else about House of the Dragon that you guys want me to talk about. Is there anything that you guys have mentioned about House of the Dragon? Right? Is there anything that you want me to cover that I haven't mentioned? I mean, Someone says Sharknado is a masterpiece of modern filmmaking. Someone says, do you think a good H.P. Lovecraft adaptation is possible? Well, actually, we've been watching Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, and so far every story has been Lovecraftian to some degree. There's references to Rats in the Wall, that story. There's references to Cthulhu. He did an adaptation of Dreams in the Witch House. It's not like it's, but keep in mind, it's one of those horror anthology shows, and those always have this kind of hokey feel to them. Like it's kind of a, they kind of have a creep show feel to them. You know what I mean? Where it's kind of hokey, but it's still really good. So I'm enjoying those. A couple of them could be better, but yeah, very Lovecrafty. If you want some Lovecraft adaptations, definitely watch Cabinet of Curiosities. Someone says Hill House. I've seen Hill House. Hill House is very good. That guy, what's his name? Flender? Forget what his name is. The guy that did Hill House also did one of my favorite horror miniseries of all time, and that is Midnight Mass. If you are looking for a good horror show for your Halloween season, Midnight Mass. Yeah, Mike Flanderson. Midnight Mass is incredible. It is absolutely the best thing he's done. 100%. I feel like Midnight Mass tops Hill House, definitely tops Bly Manor. It tops Hush. It tops Doctor Sleep. Midnight Mass is so good. Everyone's saying Siona's positions. This girl sleeps in the craziest positions. So I'm like, and sometimes it's like, how is that even comfortable? But anyway, Midnight Mass is without a doubt his best show. And if you've read Stephen King's Salem's Lot, you'll like Midnight Mass even more. If you've read Salem's Lot, you'll like it even more. Like you can even kind of think of Midnight Mass as like a sequel to Salem's Lot almost in a little bit. It's just like a retelling of Salem's Lot a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, Midnight Mass. I have not tried Midnight Club yet, but that's on the list for sure. It's on the list. Okay. Oh, someone says Servant. Okay, Servant on Apple TV. I couldn't do Servant. We watched the first season, and I just felt like it was going nowhere. So does Servant go somewhere in the second season? Because like I feel like that first season could have been 6 episodes. I feel like it was a lot of filler, and it was really trying hard to make me feel bad about this woman who just I don't feel bad for this lady. I don't know. I feel like I did not feel bad for the wife in Servant. And I thought, well, you kind of got what you deserved, and I don't know who I'm supposed to be rooting for here, so I didn't really get Servant. But I haven't really heard anything about season 2, so well, you know about that. Don't you know about the dot? Let's see. Any news on Dune Part 2? Not very much, just that it's in the works. We've got news about the Sisterhood show. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I always get like so choked up when I'm like streaming. I was like, I gotta swallow. Anyway, there's been a bunch of casting with the Sisterhood of Dune show. In fact, our very own Game of Thrones actress that played the Sand Snake's mom, Elia Martell. That's her name, right? No. What's her name? I always call her Elia Martell. That's Oberyn's sister. What's her name? The names are similar. You guys know what I'm talking about. The Sand Snake woman from Game of Thrones. The one that says, weak men will no longer rule Dorne again, or whatever. That girl. Like Ilaria Sand. She will be in... she's apparently the Empress in the Sisterhood of Dune show. And from what I can tell, she's a made-up character. So, like, that's just another hint that the Dune, the Sisterhood show will be very different from the Brian Herbert books, because she's just another made-up character that's not in the book, I don't think. So, yeah, that's cool. Looking forward to the show. I think we know who the showrunners are. Denis Villeneuve is not directing, I don't think, even though he said he was. That was the initial news we had, was that he was directing at least the first episode, but now we know he's just a producer on it. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully it's going to be good, and hopefully it will respect the original Frank Herbert source material, and hopefully it leans on the original material more than the Brian Herbert stuff, because the Brian Herbert stuff has things that I feel like kind of like go against, what Dune is really about. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I hope it deviates from Brian Herbert. That's what we want. We want it to. Yeah. Larys Sand. Bye, Guts 166. See you later, bro. House of Lizzie. Lizzie, House of Darcy says, a token of love to the happily ever after. To happily ever after, my first and favorite Song of Ice and Fire content creator. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You want to pet this dog? You can pet her vicariously through me. See, oh no. Look at the girl. Look at the girl. It's getting blurry. Look at the girl. You see? You see? You see? You see them? You see them? Look at them. You see these people. You see these people? They're watching you. They're here just for you. Mm. She's such a good dog, except when she's not a good dog at all. But yeah. She's beautiful. She is a pit bull lab mix. So she's American Staffordshire and then just like a lab. So she's got like the lab energy, but with the pit bull strength. So it's like, sometimes. It's like, mm-hmm. Yeah. She was having a good nap. She naps all day. She's actually evil. Yeah, I mean, God, you'd be surprised. She's chewed up like 2 pairs of like really expensive headphones, right? She's like, the other day she chewed up my favorite shoes. It was like gone. She's like, I'm just gonna chew these up. I don't care. Okay. Let's see. Was Viserys a good man separate from being king? I think Viserys was a decent man. I don't think that Viserys was a bad person. I think that he just wasn't fit to be king. I think that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. Viserys might have been like a fine dude, a good dude, whatever. Not fit to be king. Should have never been king. If this world made any sense, obviously Rhaenys would have been queen, and she would have been a much better queen than Viserys was a king, in my opinion. Right? She's much more capable than he is. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know who to trust. Yeah, it's just not good. Quinn, not to be annoying, but you missed a super chat. Oh no. Let's see which one we missed. Okay, yeah, long time fan of the channel since it was Ideas of Ice and Fire. Empty Man and the Void are some good shouts. Thanks for all the content. Okay, so I have seen the Empty Man, and I can confirm that the Empty Man is definitely a watch. Definitely a watch. The Empty Man has some creepy scenes in it. So yeah, Empty Man, watch that. I mean, I have not seen The Void, but a lot of people have recommended that one to me, so I will give that a try eventually. Mm-hmm. Let's see what we got. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else we got before we get going. We're closing in on the 2-hour mark. So you guys got any more House of the Dragon questions? Anything you want me to talk about before we get out of here? Did you like the first season? Loved it. Thought it was really good. I think the last 2 episodes didn't do it like I wanted. They didn't do it. It didn't quite do it for me in the last episode, but I still really enjoyed the show overall. I think it was really good. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Dune, how do you turn the whole human race into think for themselves, greater good, etc.? Seem what Frank Herbert wanted, but seems too Star Trek-y. I'm a little bit confused by the way you phrased the sentence. Let me read it again. Speaking of Dune, how do you turn the whole human race into think for themselves, greater good, etc.? Seems what Frank Herbert wanted, but was too Star Trek. Well, I do think Frank Herbert was trying to say that people need to learn to think for themselves. People need to learn to think for themselves and stop relying on technology so much, right? right? But I feel like there's also like a critique. I don't know. Because it does. I don't know because also Frank Herbert. I don't know if he's really critiquing drugs at all. I feel like Dune is very pro-drug, but it is very much like think for yourself. And I think the reason Dune comes across as pro-drug is because of psychedelics, right? So psychedelics it's one of those drugs that a lot of people use, like LSD or like mushrooms. A lot of people use that for recreation, but there's sides of drugs like that, psychedelics, that can be used for enlightenment, right? There's certain ways that you can use those types of drugs to learn things about yourself and to like gain new perspectives about the world you're living in. And I think that's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about. I don't know if he's like do drugs because they'll make you stronger and smarter. It's more like, psychedelics will widen your awareness. You'll learn to like see beyond the bubbles. Not saying go do drugs. That's not what we're saying in the stream. I'm just saying like that is a thing. It is a thing. Okay. Whose sons do you think are better in terms of behavior? Alicent's wayward sons or Rhaenyra's three boys by Larys Strong? Rhaenyra's kids. I think that Aemond loves his mom. He's very due diligent, but he's also hot-headed, very hot-headed, and that's not a good characteristic. Yeah, I feel like we haven't seen much of the older Jaehaerys, right? Jaehaerys. We haven't seen much of Jaehaerys' personality, I feel like. I haven't really got to see Jaehaerys' personality that much so far, but yeah. And I think Aegon is going to make a horrible king, not going to be a good king. And Helena is very to herself and quiet, so she's pretty well behaved. I think all of them are kind of kid-like for me. Like the only one that seems really grown up to me is like, honestly, Rhaenyra's oldest son seems kind of grown up, and then those two seem the most grown up to me. I don't know. Let's see. Marigold the Muse says that scene with Daemon in the last episode seemed like warging to me. Do you think there's differing between dragon and bonding riding and warging? I think it's very similar. Like when it comes to magic in George R. R. Martin's universe, it seems to be very elemental and very like earth-based. So that to me implies that there's like a specific realm that they're pulling these like ethereal powers from, and it comes from the earth. It comes from like nature itself. So I feel like if you can warg a wolf, the process of warging a dragon can't be that different, right? You know what I'm saying? They're both animals. I mean, a dragon has this magical element to it, you know what I mean? But so do direwolves, kind of. You know what I mean? There's something special about lots of animals in A Song of Ice and Fire. And when you really think about it, in the context of the world, are dragons really more magic than any other creature that exists? Right? I don't really feel they're just a creature that exists. I don't feel like they're magic simply because they exist. And someone said it wasn't warging. Also, warging only applies to wolves. The actual term is skin changing. Thank you. You are absolutely correct. Skin changing is what they call it when you're moving into a person, which is actually not supposed to do. Skin changing is what they call it when you're like going inside of any animal. And the specific bond between a wolf and a skin changer is a warging bond. So yeah, you are correct about that. Someone says maybe wolves are more connected to humans than hawks, bears, etc. That's probably true, and it is mentioned in the books that certain animals are easier. Certain animals are easier for sure. So that's a thing. Someone says, "Great to see you married. Gives hope for my 30-year-old self. Rhaenys broke through the floor to show the small folk the new king can't keep them safe." Oh, that's a good point. Right? Yeah. She should have just killed him. Should have just murdered him, in my opinion. But you know how we do. We got to have season 2. There'd be no show if she had killed him. There'd be no show. But they still wanted to have their dragon moment. And honestly, the dragon itself looked really good. So can I compliment the CGI? That looked really good for sure. Dragon size is too OP in the show. Seems like Vhagar would easily kill the other dragons. Yeah. Well, Vhagar is big. Right. I feel like Vhagar could take on like 2 or 3 at the same time. You're right. Like Vhagar could definitely take on 2 or 3 at the same time. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's gonna go with that because he ate what's his name's dragon without even trying. He ate him, just gobbled him up, like ripped him right in half. That was intense. Very good acting from Rhaenyra in the last scene. That actor in the last scene when you just see like her back and then she turns around finally. Although I would have liked a more aggressive Rhaenyra, you know what I mean? So hopefully next season we'll get the Black Queen because the last episode was titled The Black Queen, but this is more like the birth. This is like the formation of the Black Queen. So next season we'll really have the Black Queen, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking for tell my brother I will have my throne or I will have his head. I'm looking for that Rhaenyra. I'm waiting on that Rhaenyra. You know, I'm excited. That's what I want to see. All right. Someone says Vhagar is big. Yeah, this is a good point. Vhagar is big, but obviously labored and slow relative to younger dragons. Dragons will die of excessive size due to physics. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. Vhagar does seem a bit slow. And she's also old. Right? Vhagar's a girl, right? She's also old. So yeah, she's old and slow. So yeah, that kind of makes up for it, yeah. And then we see Daemon at the end with Vermithor. So like, yeah, what's happening there? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're right, Casey. Is the queen who never was breaking into Aegon's coronation the beast beneath the boards? She definitely busted out of those boards. So yeah. Yeah, she is an old granny, John Rivers. Old Granny Vhagar. If Vermithor is supposed to be close to the same size, yeah, I was thinking that. But like honestly, Vhagar looks bigger. A lot bigger. So we haven't seen them side by side. So when we see them side by side, then we'll really be able to tell. But like just judging by like how like big Vhagar looked like when God, I keep forgetting the kid that got Eight's name. Like when he lands on his dragon and he thinks, oh, I'm such a badass. And then we see Vhagar just lift her head up and she's just like, oh, God, that would be fucking terrifying. I'd just leave. Actually, no, thank you. But you know, good on Lord Baratheon though. You know, having some integrity and not letting Aemond attack him. You know what I mean? Good on Lord Baratheon there for like actually having some honor and not being like a Walter Frey type. So that was nice to see. He definitely wasn't being nice. He was definitely like, who is this fucking kid barging in here like demanding my help or whatever, you know what I mean? Definitely wasn't being nice, but like I feel like he wasn't a dick about it. He could have just like let the kid cut his eye out, you know what I mean? I thought Rhaenys and her dragon were the beasts beneath the boards. It's been odd to me that most people didn't connect the two. Yeah. I like didn't even think about it, honestly. Lord Baratheon, good acting, yeah. I love how everyone in this show definitely watched Game of Thrones because there's definitely certain characters that you'll see that are definitely doing an impression of characters from Game of Thrones. Like a lot of the maesters are like Pycelle or Lewin, and it's just like, oh yeah. All right, so guys, I think we're gonna get out of here. We've been streaming for over 2 hours. Make sure you like the stream if you've enjoyed watching it with me. Thanks everybody for coming in here. Again, I'm celebrating my wedding. We just got married yesterday, so that's gonna be really fun. Oh, the URL in the description is incomplete. Oh no. It's been incomplete this whole time. So now that the URL in the description is now updated, so you can click on that URL and go to my website and check out my comics if you want. Thank you guys so much for coming here with me and watching the stream. Make sure you hit the like button. I love you guys so much. It's really nice coming on here and talking with you guys. And yeah, it's been really fun watching the show. And like I said, you all go out, you all run out and watch Signs. Watch Signs, really think about it, and then we will come back and actually discuss what's really going on with Signs because it's not what most people think. And it's actually funny to me when people don't realize it. So I'm like, it's so good and people don't get it. But yeah, I love you guys. Peace out.